The experience of connecting to SAS, Struggle Arms System, is described as intense but manageable once the initial discomfort passes. After completing the test, cadets are given 24 hours of free time before officially beginning their duties. Two cadets, Uito and Nagi, discuss their experiences with the aptitude test. Uito expresses excitement about finally joining the OSF, revealing he was saved by an OSF soldier as a child, which inspired his career choice. However, Nagi voices some doubts about whether simply being in the OSF is enough to save people effectively. Uito reassures him that they should focus on doing their best in their assigned roles for now. The conversation shifts to Uito's family background. As a member of the prominent Sumeragi family, Uito's ancestral tomb is a tourist attraction, collaborating with Baki, a mascot-like entity. Uito's father, the council chairman, disapproves of his joining the OSF, while his brother is the chief of the OSF. Despite this elite lineage, Uito does not feel particularly connected to his ancestor Yakumo Sumeragi, the hero who saved humanity 2,000 years ago. Uito and Nagi decide to get fortunes from Baki. However, their plans are interrupted by an unexpected other alert in the city, despite the forecast predicting zero threat. The Scarlet Guardians are deployed, including powerful OSF members Karen Travers and Fubuki. Civilians are instructed to head to shelters. Karen Travers demonstrates impressive abilities, defeating an Other with a single blow and showcasing his power to copy others' abilities. Despite not being official soldiers yet, Uito and Nagi decide to engage the Others to protect civilians. They split up to tackle the threats, successfully defeating several Others. During the battle, they encounter two sisters, Naomi and Kasane Randall, who are also OSF cadets. The group works together to eliminate the remaining Others in the area. After the battle, the cadets are approached by Luca Travers, a Septentrian 6th class member. He scolds them for engaging in combat as cadets and instructs them to report to OSF headquarters while avoiding the press. Luca briefly explains the nature of powers in the OSF, highlighting that individuals can only use one type of power and must rely on devices to manage brain stress during combat. At OSF headquarters, Uito and Nagi are praised for their actions, but reminded of the importance of following rules. They are then summoned to meet with Chief Kaido Sumeragi. The scene transitions to the introduction of Seto Platoon, where the new members introduce themselves and their powers. The platoon consists of a diverse group, including pyrokinesis user Hanabi, air manipulator Nagi, psychokinesis wielder Uito, and others with unique abilities, like telepathy and clairvoyance. Captain Seto Narukami, an electrokinesis user, outlines the platoon's first assignment: guard duty as hands-on training. The team is divided into pairs and instructed to connect their SAS before meeting at the entrance to Kikuchiba in 1 hour. This marks the beginning of their active duty as OSF members, setting the stage for future challenges and growth as they learn to work together and utilize their diverse abilities in the field. Uito reunites with his childhood friend Hanabi after 2 years. They discuss their paths to joining the OSF, with Hanabi being scouted while Uito volunteered. Hanabi mentions the Randall sisters, Kasane and Naomi, noting that Kasane was scouted at just 12 years old. Uito reveals he recently fought Others alongside Kasane, surprising Hanabi. They are interrupted and ordered to proceed to Kikuchiba for their assignment. Wataru informs Uito about the bias system, a brain assistance technology that enhances users' powers. Uito has been selected as a test subject for bias, which is still in development and may have unstable side effects. Despite some concerns, Uito is assured that only compatible individuals are chosen. He activates the system, noticing visual changes but no other immediate effects. Wataru explains that bias works by utilizing the user's power to create mental visualizations, potentially improving SAS connections. The platoon assembles, and Captain Seto Narukami explains the informal nature of the OSF, where strength is valued over age or rank. Wataru is introduced as the team's telepathic operator. The mission objectives are outlined: reach the designated goal while engaging others along the way. The team is split into smaller groups led by Nagi, Uito, and Sugumi. They are instructed to use SAS connections for improved coordination and are allowed to retreat if overwhelmed. The team arrives in Kikuchiba, a city with a unique vertical structure. They learn about its history as a connection base to Togetsu, a religious stronghold, and how it was partially destroyed in an other attack 5 years prior. The conversation reveals that Kaguro, a team member, was once a priest in the Togetsu faith. Their discussion is interrupted by the detection of crows, media drones that have located the team despite jamming efforts. Uito's team is the first to reach their objective. However, they soon detect a major other approaching, a particularly dangerous type known for killing OSF members. Captain Narukami orders the rookies to hold out until backup arrives. Despite the challenge, Uito and his team engage the other in combat. After intense battle, they manage to defeat the major other, showcasing their skills and teamwork. Following their victory, Uito is thrust into the spotlight by the media. He's interviewed about his first deployment and successful takedown of a major other. Captain Narukami praises both Uito and Hanabi for their performance. The team is instructed to remain vigilant as they return to Suo, with warnings about increased media attention on Uito as the new rookie star. They are advised to evade direct questions from the press. As the team prepares to return to Suo, they encounter Naomi, Kasane, and Kyoka. There's a brief interaction where Naomi compliments Uito on his composed TV appearance. Kasane, however, remains aloof, leading to some awkward exchanges. The team leaders are summoned to headquarters for debriefing, while the rest are dismissed. Uito reflects on the contrasting personalities of the Randall sisters and the growing media interest in him. On their way back, Uito encounters Major General Karen Travers, who encourages him to use the media attention to his advantage for career advancement. This interaction reveals that Karen has been keeping an eye on Uito's potential since his cadet days. The team discusses the implications of having a high-ranking Septentrian's interest, with Uito feeling both proud and pressured by the expectations. Upon returning to base, Wataru debriefs the team. Suddenly, a distress signal is received from Mizuhagawa. Despite orders to complete incident reports, Uito and Nagi volunteer to respond to the emergency. They rendezvous with Arashi and Gemma, who are already engaged in combat. The team coordinates their efforts using SAS connections, with Arashi utilizing her hypervelocity ability to outmaneuver the enemy. Gemma is noticed to be limping, potentially from an injury. Despite Gemma's insistence that they're fine, the group decides to seek shelter at a nearby Sumeragi family emergency unit to provide first aid. The coordinates are shared, and they head towards this location for safety and treatment. The group arrives at the Sumeragi family evacuation unit, which is described as fancier than standard units. They discuss the possibility of making it a safe house for Seto Platoon. The concept of safe houses, referred to as hideouts by the OSF, is explained as separate evacuation sites for each team, useful in situations with casualties. Gemma's leg injury is examined, revealing significant bleeding that wasn't noticed earlier due to adrenaline. Uito demonstrates proficiency in medical treatment, explaining that he gained experience due to childhood health problems and having to care for himself. The conversation reveals that Uito's mother was killed by an other when he was 5. The discussion turns to independence and self-reliance. It's revealed that Arashi is Major General Fabuki's older sister, surprising the others. Arashi is described as having potential to rival the Septetrions if she stopped slacking off. The group decides to rest at the unit rather than return to Suwa to face paperwork and news interviews. Hanabi Ichijo, daughter of the Ichijo OSF hospital chairman, arrives with fresh supplies. It's noted that many supplies in the unit were expired. The conversation reveals that Hanabi and Uito are childhood friends, unsurprising given their families' connections. Arashi invites Hanabi to stay and make herself comfortable. Kasane contacts Uito, asking personal questions for a background check. She also mentions Captain Seto's lost fountain pen. While searching for the pen, they discuss Uito's childhood memories of being saved by an OSF member. Kasane reveals her sister made her hair clip, similar to the one Uito remembers. They explore the possibility of realistic dreams related to their psychokinesis powers. The scene shifts abruptly to Sumeragi Tomb, where Uito finds himself unexpectedly. Kaguro informs him about a military exercise in the training area. Uito, confused about how he got there, decides to address his concerns later and heads to OSF headquarters for the exercise. Kaguro explains the rules for a 3-man field exercise involving capturing a flag. Teams are formed through a lottery system. Tensions arise as team dynamics are established, particularly with Shiden, who expresses doubts about Uito's leadership abilities. Despite objections, Uito is chosen as team leader. The exercise begins with teams searching for the flag. Shiden continues to challenge Uito's abilities and leadership. A confrontation with Kasane's team leads to a power battle, which Uito's team wins. This victory impresses some team members, including Shiden, who acknowledges Uito's potential. After the exercise, Uito receives a message from his father congratulating him on joining OSF. His father expresses a desire to discuss family matters, including Uito's mother, over dinner. The training day concludes with Kaguro revealing he manipulated the team selections to observe the new recruits. The scene shifts to a briefing about a swarm of others in abandoned subway lines. The Extinction Belt is explained as an anomaly producing others, which can descend to Earth's surface. The importance of maintaining communication is stressed, with Watru's telepathy serving as a backup if regular communicators fail. A joint operation between the 7th and 8th Company from the 1st Regiment and the 1st and 2nd Company from the 2nd Regiment is announced. Team assignments are made, with Team 1 consisting of the Captain, Nagi, and Hanabi, while Team 2 includes Kaguro, Tsugumi, and Uito. Seto Platoon is instructed to head to Point Alpha behind the 2nd Company. Suddenly, a request for reinforcements comes from Haruka, as others have descended on Point Alpha. Naomi, using her precognition power, warns of an impending attack by 3 others. The team engages in combat with the others while making their way to Point Alpha. As they fight, the ceiling begins to crack, forcing the platoon to disperse. The situation intensifies as more others attack from all directions. Uito and Nagi become separated from the rest of the team. Naomi sustains a leg injury during the chaos. The team continues to battle against the overwhelming number of others, struggling to regroup and protect their injured comrade. As the battle rages on, something unexpected and horrifying occurs. Naomi transforms into an other. The team watches in shock and disbelief as this transformation takes place. Kasane, using her power, sends the transformed Naomi away. In the aftermath, an ampule with Ceyron's emblem is discovered. The team is left confused and devastated by the sudden loss of their comrade and the mysterious circumstances surrounding her transformation. Kasane reveals that Naomi was taken by troops from the Ceyron garrison. The team grapples with the implications of this information and the orders to keep quiet about the incident. They discuss the mysterious ampule, its connection to weapon development, and its potential link to Major General Fubuki's family company. The team decides to investigate privately while outwardly complying with orders. They hide the remaining ampules in Baki, a stuffed animal, for safekeeping. The team regroups at a family unit belonging to one of the members, which they decide to use as their hideout. They struggle with how to explain Naomi's absence to the rest of the platoon. Captain Seto returns to Suo, leaving the team to rest until further orders. The mood is somber as they grapple with the loss of their comrade and the realities of life in the OSF. Soon after, Seto Platoon is called back into action, tasked with responding to others reported along the Kunad highway. As the team prepares for their new mission, they notice strange behavior from Nagi, who seems to have forgotten about Naomi's transformation and believes she died in battle. The team arrives at the Kunad highway, only to find the area suspiciously devoid of others. Suddenly, they find themselves surrounded by other OSF units. Confusion ensues as Gemma appears to be working against them, mentioning horrific research and Major General Karen's ideals. The situation escalates as it becomes clear that the team must fight against their own allies, including Major General Karen. The shocking turn of events leaves the team struggling to comprehend the sudden betrayal and the necessity of battling against their fellow OSF members. As they prepare for combat, the gravity of their situation becomes apparent, forcing them to confront the harsh realities of their world and the complex web of loyalties and secrets within the OSF. A tense confrontation unfolds as an unknown entity attempts to manipulate someone's faith. The scene is chaotic, with characters struggling against an unseen force. There's a sense of urgency and confusion as people try to resist whatever is happening to them. Naomi attempts to snap someone out of a trance-like state. There's mention of loyalty to a new entity, suggesting some form of mind control or manipulation. Uito and Kasane are working together to help their comrades, particularly Nagi, who seems to be in trouble. The situation is dire, with characters fighting for survival. Captain Seto thanks Kasane for saving them. There's concern about someone's health, but they insist they're fine. The group decides to confront Karen, who isn't considered an enemy despite previous attacks. A shocking revelation about Naomi is mentioned. Nagi, who appears to be under some influence, threatens to kill the others. Captain Seto attempts to reason with Nagi, reminding him of potential regret. The confrontation with Nagi escalates. Captain Seto stands firm, refusing to let Nagi harm Uito. There's a strong sense of loyalty and protection from the captain towards his platoon members. The situation is tense, with lives at stake and relationships being tested. An unexpected phenomenon occurs as someone's power resonates with Kasane's. This leads to a sudden, unexplained transition to a different place. The characters are confused and trying to make sense of their new surroundings. Uito and Kasane find themselves in a mysterious location. They notice the Sumeragi crest and a man dressed like the legendary Sumeragi. This scene seems to be connected to a dream Uito had previously, adding an element of premonition or shared vision to the story. The scene shifts back to the original setting. There's confusion about recent events, including Kasane's whereabouts. An earthquake is mentioned, which some characters didn't notice. Gamma arrives, and a truce is called due to the dangerous situation. A gravitational anomaly is observed in the sky, pulling in OSF members and debris. The immediate danger forces the characters to retreat to assess the situation. The group decides to move to a hideout, with Gemma carrying Captain Seto's body. There's a somber realization of the dangers of being in the OSF. Questions arise about the recent infighting and its causes. The characters are trying to piece together the events that led to this chaotic situation. Gemma explains Major General Karen's actions and motivations. He reveals information about New Himuka's government, attempting to create a controlled society. This includes forced drafting of psionic individuals into the OSF, extensive surveillance, and rumors of personality manipulation. The characters grapple with this unsettling information, trying to understand the extent of the government's control. The group discusses the rebellion led by Major General Karen and the strange phenomena they witnessed, including the hole in the sky. Gemma expresses regret for his involvement and apologizes. The characters decide to go to Suo together to uncover the truth about the rebellion and the mysterious events. The group prepares to head to Suo, expressing concern for Wataru. They discuss the potential confrontation with Major General Karen, acknowledging his formidable powers as a Septentrion. Despite the dangers, they feel compelled to investigate the situation firsthand. Upon reaching Suo, they discover the city's systems have shut down, allowing others to enter. Wataru contacts Uito telepathically, informing them of the situation and requesting their help in eliminating the others while he attempts to reboot the system. The group prepares to face this new threat in the city. Major General Fubuki arrives and is briefed on the situation. He explains that Karen has conspired with Ceyron forces to attack Suo. Fubuki takes command of the group, assigning them to help evacuate civilians and investigate the status of council members. The gravity of the situation becomes clear as they realize the extent of the attack on the city. Fubuki warns the group about potential enemies among the OSF and the lack of communication with central control. He tasks them with heading to OSF headquarters to protect the council members. The characters prepare for the dangerous mission ahead, uncertain of what they'll encounter. The group encounters Chairman Sumeragi under attack by what appear to be OSF soldiers. They rush to defend him, shocked by the turn of events. The situation grows more complex as they face former allies who have turned against them. A shocking confrontation occurs between Uito and his father. Chairman Sumeragi inexplicably demands that Uito kill him, referencing a promise Uito doesn't remember. The situation escalates as Kasane attacks, forcing Uito to make difficult decisions to protect his father. Uito activates his brain field in a desperate attempt to stop Kasane. The intense battle strains Uito, pushing him to his limits. The conflict between former allies reaches a critical point, with neither side willing to back down. As the battle concludes, Uito questions Kasane about her motives for attacking him and his father. Before answers can be given, a broadcast from Karen interrupts, revealing his rebellion against New Himuka's control. Karen exposes the government's manipulation of citizens, framing his actions as a fight for freedom. In a tragic turn of events, Chairman Sumeragi is fatally wounded. His last moments are spent apologizing to Uito, hinting at untold secrets. Uito is left devastated, grappling with the loss of his father and the weight of unanswered questions. The scene ends on a somber note, with the characters facing an uncertain future in a world turned upside down. A speech by Major General Karen calls for revolution against an oppressive society that limits human rights. He urges those who are awake to join his cause and help destroy the new Himuka regime. The government has started blocking access to the speech video, suggesting the truth of his claims. The protagonist expresses shock at the limited flow of information and struggles to make sense of recent events, including Kasane's apparent killing of their father. The group discusses recent events, including their encounter with Major General Karen and subsequent attack by the OSF. Kasane has disappeared, likely joining Karen's supporters in Ceyron. Nearly half of the OSF have joined Karen, with rumors of Ceyron declaring independence. While Karen evacuated civilians before the disturbance, questions arise about his methods and motives. The protagonist grapples with conflicting information about Seto and feels guilty for not believing him earlier. A sudden shift occurs, and the protagonist finds themselves back in Suo, seemingly having lost recent memories. They are informed of their promotion to commander of 1st Platoon following the Suo incident. Confused and disoriented, they are advised to visit the OSF hospital for a checkup. At the hospital, they are diagnosed with an excess of psionic hormones, causing temporary confusion, and given a prescription. The media portrays the protagonist as a hero who saved the country, though they have little recollection of these events. While waiting for their prescription, the protagonist encounters a dud, a person without powers. This leads to a discussion about the challenges faced by the inept in a society built around psychic abilities. The group learns of an underground passage used to transport urgent patients, possibly to an old OSF hospital in Lakucho City. They decide to investigate after Tsugumi spots Nagi, who was previously listed as missing, on one of these buses. In the safe zone, Major General Fubuki reveals disturbing truths about the OSF hospital. It conducts power research funded by the new Himuka government, including cerebral tuning to enhance abilities and personality rehabilitation. essentially brainwashing problematic individuals. Fubuki also discloses that Naomi was not killed in action, but metamorphosed into an other, a byproduct of government research involving a special material. The group learns that the government can turn any organism with a brain into an other. Fubuki warns that staying in the city is dangerous, as the government has likely ordered their capture. He advises the group to go out on patrol while he attempts to manage the situation. The conversation is cut short, leaving many questions unanswered about Fubuki's own role and how he has avoided government scrutiny. The government of New Himuka was involved in transforming people into others through personality rehabilitation and metamorphosis technology. This information came to light during an investigation into Alice Ichijo's metamorphosis. Alice, who was Uito's aunt and Fubuki's fiancée, was officially reported to have died in the line of duty. The Sumeragi family, including Uito's father, was likely at the center of these experiments. Kasane confronts Uito, revealing that she killed his father and joined Ceyron because of New Himuka's involvement in metamorphosis research and Naomi's transformation into an other. Kodama Malone arrives with a message from Fubuki, assuring Uito that everything is being taken care of. She delivers medication from the OSF hospital, raising concerns about its safety. The group decides to return to their hideout to discuss recent revelations without fear of government surveillance. At the hideout, the team reviews their situation. They discuss the government's awareness of their knowledge, the possibility of becoming fugitives, and potentially fleeing to Ceyron. Uito is advised against contacting his brother, the chief, due to potential dangers. The group also deliberates on whether Uito should take the medication from the OSF hospital, ultimately deciding to avoid it unless absolutely necessary. Wataru informs Uito about the Kunad Gate, a mysterious hole with black hole-like characteristics discovered above Kunad Highway. The area has been deemed off-limits due to gravitational anomalies. Uito's platoon receives orders to remain on standby, allowing them to stay at the hideout longer. This arrangement is likely orchestrated by Fubuki to provide them with more time and safety. Major General Fubuki arrives at the hideout, revealing that he had been acting as a government puppet to protect Karen from elimination or personality rehabilitation. With Karen gone, Fubuki sees an opportunity to bring change to the country by working from within the system. He plans to uncover the reasons behind the government's illegal human experiments and free the country from corruption. Fubuki invites Uito to help, warning him of the potential dangers to his platoon members. Uito and his team agree to help Fubuki uncover government secrets. Fubuki issues an order for the platoon to gather intelligence around the Ceyron area, where OSF deserters, sympathetic to Ceyron's cause, might be active. He also takes steps to reassign Hanabi and Tsugumi to different platoons as a precautionary measure. The team sets out on their mission, aware of the potential dangers they may face from Ceyron OSF patrols. During their mission, Uito experiences another memory lapse. He forgets a conversation about Luca and Gemma's past experiences, including experiments Luca was subjected to and Gemma's concerns about aging. The team becomes worried about Uito's condition, but no physical abnormalities are detected. They speculate that mental exhaustion from overuse of his powers might be the cause of these memory issues. The group encounters a critical situation where one member, likely Uito, experiences severe cognitive impairment, struggling with speech and thought processes. His condition appears to be stress-induced, affecting his brain function. The team debates using medication provided by the hospital, noting its similarity to ampules found in an abandoned subway. Despite reservations, they face an imminent threat, forcing a decision on whether to administer the medication. As the situation intensifies with an approaching enemy, Uito's condition worsens, rendering him unable to use his powers or fight effectively. The team grapples with the decision to use the questionable medication, weighing the risks against the immediate danger. Uito, feeling desperate, decides to take the medication despite the potential consequences. prioritizing his ability to contribute to the fight over the unknown effects of the drug. The medication shows immediate positive effects, alleviating Uito's symptoms and restoring his ability to communicate and fight. The team observes the improvement, noting the disappearance of abnormalities in his brain. Uito expresses relief and readiness to continue the mission, despite the unpleasant taste and smell of the medication. The group cautiously monitors for any side effects but finds none, allowing them to proceed with their assignment. As the team continues their mission, they detect unusual activity ahead. They observe two trucks moving towards Ceyron, but the thick Extinction Belt hampers their ability to gather detailed information. The situation becomes more complex when they encounter Kaguro and Kyoka, members of Ceyron's OSF team, who engage them in a diversionary tactic to protect the transport vehicle's destination. After a confrontation with Kaguro and Kyoka, the team loses track of the transport vehicles. They deduce that the vehicles were carrying something significant and decide to investigate a suspicious area avoided by Kyoka's duplicates. Upon reaching the location, they discover the transport vehicles at what appears to be an unmarked Ceyron facility. The team proceeds cautiously, aware of a strange presence in the area. The team makes a shocking discovery. The transport vehicles are carrying human heads. They manage to infiltrate the facility using a keycard obtained from an unconscious guard. Inside, they find an assembly line processing human heads, with boxes similar to those in the transport trucks. The facility's purpose becomes increasingly disturbing as they uncover its connection to Spring Pharmaceuticals and the production of ampules. The true nature of the facility is revealed as a joint operation between Spring Pharmaceuticals and the Ceyron government for other research. Human brains with powers are being used to create other weapons and medical solutions. This revelation causes significant distress among the team members, who struggle to reconcile this information with their understanding of Ceyron and Himuka's roles in the conflict. The team learns that some individuals, including Kasane and potentially other team members, have loved ones who have been turned into others. The medication produced at the facility can temporarily restore these others' senses. This information complicates the moral landscape as the team grapples with the ethics of the facility's operations versus the benefits for those affected by metamorphosis. The stress of the situation causes Uito to experience another episode of cognitive impairment. As the team retreats from the facility, they discuss the implications of their discovery. They attempt to support Uito, who is struggling with the moral weight of using medication derived from human brains. The conversation touches on the difficulties faced by those turned into others, like Naomi, and the team's determination to find a way to help them. They also begin to question Himuka's involvement and knowledge of the ampule's origins. The team receives a message from Major General Fubuki requesting a meeting. This prompts a discussion about Fubuki's potential involvement with Spring Pharmaceuticals and knowledge of the factory's operations. The team debates whether Fubuki could be an enemy or if his actions are part of a more complex strategy to navigate government control. They ultimately decide that direct questioning is the best approach to clarify Fubuki's position and intentions. The group discusses Uito's trusting nature and how their skepticism provides balance. Wataru explains he can't frequent their hideout due to surveillance. The conversation shifts to events in Ceyron, with Wataru revealing his family's connection to Spring Pharmaceuticals. He discloses reporting his family's wrongdoings to gain government trust. The group learns about Alice being held in a research facility and how Ceyron was enticed to protect her, leading to the development of ampules and an uprising. The discussion turns to the state of the country, with both Himuka and Ceyron conducting human experiments to develop weapons against others. The origins and nature of others are debated, with speculation that the government may be hiding crucial information. The group considers exposing a government secret to all citizens similar to what happened during the uprising. Wataru reveals a past plot to distribute video evidence of human metamorphosis, which was thwarted by government threats. The conversation focuses on Nagi's extracted memory data from Naomi's metamorphosis. The group plans to access this data, stored in the old OSF hospital, and distribute it via Arahabaki to expose government wrongdoings. Wataru provides a one-time use pass for infiltration. The reorganization of the platoon is discussed, with Hanabi and others deciding to stay despite potential government targeting. The risks to their families are acknowledged, but the group is determined to take action. Uito prepares to infiltrate the old hospital for the second time to recover Nagi's memory data. Wataru offers assistance by providing a program to bypass the security system. The group searches the facility, suspecting an underground area. They wonder about Nagi's fate and his personality rehabilitation. Suddenly, Nagi appears, revealing he has undergone further rehabilitation and is now loyal to new Himuka. A confrontation ensues as Nagi attempts to capture Uito, leading to a fight. Uito awakens in a hospital room, unable to use his powers due to restraints. A staff member reveals Uito's past as a dud, someone born without powers. The experiments conducted on duds at the facility are explained, including the potential for them to acquire potent abilities. Uito learns about his hospitalization as a child and the medical experiments performed on duds. The staff member mentions Uito's brain accumulating damage from power use, explaining his memory loss and childhood amnesia. Karen suggests the group seek refuge in Togetsu, an independent city that might accept them as criminals. He provides a mysterious substance, insisting they must consume it to survive and retain their memories and powers. The group is suspicious of Karen's motives, but takes the substance. They decide to return to their hideout to plan their next move, considering whether to help Fubuki or flee to Togetsu. Wataru joins them at the hideout, having been instructed by Fubuki to escape there if the infiltration was discovered. The group settles in at the hideout, which belongs to the Sumeragi family. They discuss the precautions taken to keep their location secret and the implications of Uito being branded a traitor. The situation highlights the complex relationships and conflicting loyalties within the group, particularly between Uito and his brother. The team must now navigate their new status as fugitives while deciding their next course of action in the face of government opposition and the ongoing conflict with others. The group discusses their current situation in a hideout. They have a key code generator for Arahabaki given to them by Major General Fubuki before his disappearance. There is concern about Fubuki's whereabouts, but reassurance that he is likely safe. The group faces challenges with limited supplies and public perception, as they are being called demons and hypocrites in Suwa. The protagonist reveals that he was born without powers and acquired them through experiments at the OSF hospital. This artificial enhancement is causing his powers to be unstable. The group expresses support and concern for his well-being. There is a brief discussion about the suffering of people without powers in society. The group debates their next move, considering options between Togetsu and Ceyron. They decide to reach out to Togetsu, an independent religious state, in hopes of gaining new information. The protagonist expresses a desire to learn more about the government and country, acknowledging gaps in their knowledge. The group discusses potential connections between Togetsu and the OSF hospital, involving food, medical supplies, and possibly power research or metamorphosis technology. They acknowledge the risks involved, but decide to proceed with their plan to visit Togetsu, viewing it as an opportunity to uncover secrets and possibly confront any wrongdoing. The group begins their journey to Togetsu, located in snow-covered mountains. They face challenges with the cold weather and difficult terrain. During their trek, they discuss the nature of Togetsu's religion, describing it as a moon-worshipping cult with a long history. They hope for a peaceful reception upon arrival. Upon reaching Togetsu, the group is surprised by an unexpectedly warm welcome. They are invited inside, with the host seeming to know about their quest for information. The group remains cautious, sensing that the situation might be too convenient. They proceed while staying alert for any potential dangers. Inside Togetsu, the group encounters a mysterious information system. They learn about designed children, genetically engineered individuals with specific traits. They discover a connection between Kyoka and Dr. Pope, the founder of the Togetsu faith, who lived 2,000 years ago. This revelation raises questions about Togetsu's advanced technology and its history. The group continues to interact with the information system, uncovering shocking details about Earth's history. They learn that humans once emigrated to the moon due to environmental changes and later returned as colonists to renovate Earth. This information contradicts their known history and raises questions about New Himuka's origins and the potential existence of people still living on the moon. The group grapples with the implications of this new information, questioning why New Himuka would hide such crucial historical facts. They learn that current communication with the moon is suspended due to the Extinction Belt. However, they discover that the Extinction Belt did not exist when the colonists first descended from the moon, appearing only after their arrival on Earth. This revelation challenges their understanding of their world's history and the origins of the Extinction Belt. The Extinction Belt appeared and New Himuka was founded. However, this is not enough evidence to believe it fully. There is confusion about when the others appeared in relation to the Extinction Belt. It is clarified that the others started appearing long after the Extinction Belt, not at the same time. There is uncertainty about whether others are born in the Extinction Belt. The moon is mentioned as watching over them, adding to the mysterious nature of the others. Gamma expresses difficulty believing all of this information. The group decides to accept the information for now and try to gather more. They plan to investigate one more terminal to learn all they can. There is a strange feeling among the group about the situation. When questioned about what others are, the terminal states it cannot access that information and access to Babe is necessary. The group realizes it's odd how their random questions aligned with the terminal's permissions, suggesting Togetsu may have a plan. They consider the implications of matching this information with Major General Fubuki's plans, but acknowledge the lack of proof and how ancient the history is. The terminal provides information about a current threat, a localized gravitational anomaly that is expanding daily and expected to consume Earth in the near future. This anomaly, referred to as the Kunad Gate, is said to expand in response to Uito's power, making Earth's destruction likely unavoidable. The terminal claims that trusting in Togetsu's teachings will save everyone. Uito is confused about the connection between his power and the Kunad Gate. The group is skeptical of this information, considering it might be a trap or an attempt to mislead them. Uito considers talking to Kasane to verify the information about his power's connection to the Kunad Gate. The group wonders about Babe, mentioned by the last terminal. A voice invites them to proceed through a door where Babe awaits, explaining it's the city computer managing Togetsu, similar to Arahabaki in Suo. The group is suspicious but decides to investigate, aware that their communications might be cut off. They're instructed to be careful and prepared to leave quickly if necessary. The group enters a large room with what appears to be the Babe terminal. A believer encourages Uito to trust in Togetsu's teachings and speak with Babe to turn his doubts into belief. As they approach the terminal, their communications are cut off from Splenet. They start up the terminal cautiously, but Uito suddenly feels like his body is being taken over. The connection is cut, saving Uito from what seems to be an attempt to hijack his brain. They realize the believer may have been after Uito's brain from the beginning and decide to leave immediately. Kasane unexpectedly appears and warns that her team has been captured in Togetsu. Uito attempts to unlock all doors in Togetsu using the Babe terminal. The group realizes that Kasane and her platoon are likely not working with Togetsu and decide to help them escape. As they make their escape, they encounter enemies that look identical to Kasane and Kyoka, revealing them as designed children of Togetsu. This leads to the realization that all Togetsu followers might be designed children. They fight their way out, facing both human enemies and others. After escaping, Kasane contacts Uito's team and suggests exchanging information. Despite some reservations from his team, Uito agrees to meet with Kasane. They rendezvous halfway up the mountain. Kasane expresses gratitude for Uito's help in rescuing her team and apologizes for her previous actions. She explains that she tried to kill Uito because she was asked to by Uito himself, 50 years in the future. Kasane reveals her ability to travel through time using a power called red strings, which Uito apparently also possesses. Kasane explains that the Kunad gate is like a device for time travel, usually appearing only for an instant. However, this time it didn't disappear and is slowly expanding, threatening to swallow the world. In the future, Kasane visited, the gate had grown so large that nothing could be done to stop it. She reveals that their power is actually gravokinesis, which looks like psychokinesis, but becomes strong enough to travel through space and time when fully developed. According to future Uito, the Kunad gate will disappear if Uito dies, a claim that seems unbelievable to the present Uito. The conversation reveals a complex situation involving time travel and assassination attempts. The speaker admits to being asked to kill someone in the past to eliminate the Kunad gate before it grew too large. This revelation confirms suspicions stemming from a vision in Togetsu. The target expresses surprise at their future self's inability to end the situation, but is reassured of their importance both in the future and present. The conversation then shifts to discussing the current state of the speaker's brain, which is reportedly managing well despite concerns. The discussion moves to exchanging intelligence, focusing on Kyoka. It is revealed that Kyoka is a clone created in Togetsu, genetically derived from Dr. Hitoyo Pope, the founder of the Togetsu faith. Togetsu is described as being filled with chosen psionics designed from the same genetic data. Kyoka's past as a spy for Togetsu is acknowledged, but it is emphasized that she has chosen to live as part of the current group and is no longer considered an enemy. The trust in Kyoka is largely based on Kasane's judgment of her. The conversation turns to Kasane's potential status as a design child from Togetsu. Kasane confirms this possibility, recalling memories from her childhood in Togetsu. She remembers being told she was one of the design children, though the memory feels distant and unreal to her. The group expresses sympathy for Kasane's situation, recognizing it as a potentially painful memory. The discussion then shifts to the topic of humans coming from the moon, which is met with initial skepticism from some group members. The group begins to explain what they've learned about human origins from the moon, based on information from Togetsu's archives. Kaguro, revealed to be a colonist from the moon, kept in cold sleep, confirms the truth of this history. He explains that Togetsu was formed by those who wanted to return to the moon, separate from those who chose to live on Earth in New Himuka. Togetsu's ultimate goal is to use time travel to prevent the colonization of Earth from ever happening, effectively erasing the current timeline. The group grapples with the implications of Togetsu's plan, which involves using the red strings power to take only the moon and Earth back in time. The goal is to leave records of the current timeline's history in areas not affected by the time travel, preventing future generations from attempting to colonize Earth again. The group realizes the existential threat this poses to their current reality and resolves to prevent Togetsu from succeeding. Kaguro reveals his intention to sabotage Togetsu's plans, citing personal reasons related to family left on the moon. The group decides to seek help from larger entities to counter Togetsu's plan. They consider approaching both New Himuka and Ceyron, despite being fugitives, in hopes that revealing the Togetsu threat might lead to a ceasefire between the nations. The group splits up, with some members heading to New Himuka and others to Ceyron. They prepare for potential confrontations and hope to gain new information from these encounters. The gravity of their mission and the potential consequences of failure are clearly understood by all involved. Upon arriving in Suo, the group encounters a tense situation with the National Defense Forces lying in ambush. They decide to proceed directly to the OSF headquarters. Unexpectedly, they meet Nagi, a former friend who has undergone personality rehabilitation and power enhancement. Nagi, now hostile, attacks the group with the intent to kill and extract a brain. The encounter is emotionally charged, with the group reluctant to fight their former comrade, but forced to defend themselves against his enhanced abilities. The confrontation with Nagi reaches a climax, resulting in Nagi regaining some self-awareness. He expresses deep remorse and fear, explaining that he was coerced into attacking under threat of death. The group offers comfort and forgiveness, emphasizing that the blame lies with those who manipulated Nagi. In his final moments, Nagi reflects on his life, expressing regret and questioning his choices. The protagonist expresses remorse for failing to protect someone, likely Nagi, and vows revenge. They are urged to meet with the protagonist's brother, a government official who may be involved in an ambush. The National Defense Forces are surrounding the path to OSF headquarters, attempting to capture traitors. Despite the potential danger, the group decides to proceed to OSF headquarters. As the group approaches OSF headquarters, they notice an unusual lack of personnel, both OSF and National Defense Forces. The only person present is Chief Sumaragi, who appears to be waiting for them. The protagonist's communications network is expected to be cut off soon, adding to the tension of the impending confrontation. Upon arrival, Chief Sumaragi greets the protagonist, revealing that their safety has been assured for this meeting. The conversation quickly turns tense as the chief admits to sending Nagi after the protagonist, viewing him as a failure despite enhancements. The chief's motivations become clear. He seeks to harness the protagonist's special gravikinesis power for New Himuka's benefit, even at the cost of manipulating and sacrificing others. The chief expresses frustration with the protagonist's disobedience and unwillingness to follow governmental directives. He hints at a greater destiny tied to Yakumo Sumaragi's wishes, which are revealed to be connected to the moon and its colonists. The protagonist's recent trip to Togetsu is mentioned, leading to a heated discussion about the true history of their world and the Extinction Belt's origins. Chief Sumaragi reveals a shocking truth. The Extinction Belt was created by people on the moon to seal Earth's colonists. He explains that New Himuka was founded with the purpose of exacting revenge on the moon. The chief demands the protagonist use their gravikinesis to move the Extinction Belt, potentially connecting to all citizens through SAS to amplify the power. This plan involves forcibly using civilians' brains, disregarding their well-being. The protagonist strongly objects to the chief's plan, refusing to use people as mere tools for revenge. The chief shockingly reveals that Yakumo Sumaragi is still alive in cold sleep, waiting for his revenge. This revelation leads to a heated argument about destiny, family honor, and individual choice. The protagonist rejects the notion of blindly following tradition or family expectations, asserting their desire to find truth and make decisions independently. The confrontation escalates, with the chief threatening to force the protagonist's cooperation. The protagonist manages to escape, expressing regret but conviction in their choices. After the encounter, it's revealed that the entire conversation was secretly recorded, providing crucial evidence of the government's hidden agenda. The team decides to use this recording to expose the truth to all of New Himuka. The group infiltrates Arahabaki, a secure facility beneath Suo, intending to use it to broadcast the recorded truth to everyone in New Himuka. They navigate through the facility, encountering unexpected others along the way. Despite technical difficulties, They successfully upload the video data to Arahabaki, initiating a broadcast that will reveal the hidden truths to all citizens. As the broadcast begins, the protagonist reflects on the potential consequences of their actions. They acknowledge that the truth may hurt many people, but believe it's necessary to ask how everyone feels after knowing it. The group speculates on the chaos likely unfolding in the government and among the citizens as the revelations come to light. They hope this will lead to the cessation of fighting between New Himuka and Ceyron. As the group prepares to leave Arahabaki and assess the situation outside, they are suddenly confronted by Major General Karen. This unexpected encounter adds a new layer of tension and uncertainty to their already precarious situation, leaving them to face yet another potential conflict as they strive to bring about change in their world. An intense confrontation unfolds between the protagonist and an antagonist who is attempting to copy Uito's power. The antagonist threatens violence, demanding Uito's power and hinting at a deeper motive. Uito stands his ground, refusing to comply without understanding the reason behind the demand. The scene sets up a high-stakes conflict, with the antagonist demonstrating formidable abilities and Uito preparing for a challenging fight. The battle intensifies as Uito faces off against Karen, who possesses multiple powers. Despite Karen's impressive array of abilities, Uito holds his own, drawing on his combat experience. The fight reaches a critical point, with both sides showing resilience. Uito strategically points out that Karen's multiple powers are limited by having only one brain, suggesting a potential weakness in his opponent's seemingly overwhelming advantage. The confrontation takes an unexpected turn as Uito experiences a sudden invasion of his mind. He loses control of his powers, and a mysterious entity called Arahabaki appears to be influencing him. The scene becomes surreal, with Uito feeling a strange resonance similar to a past experience with Kasane. This development adds a layer of complexity to the conflict, hinting at deeper, possibly supernatural forces at play. Uito's power activates uncontrollably, leading to a chaotic situation. Karen, seizing this moment, attempts to use Uito's power for time travel. The scene shifts dramatically as Karen disappears, leaving Uito in a state of confusion. This event marks a pivotal moment in the story, suggesting that Karen's true objective was related to manipulating time, adding a new dimension to the ongoing conflict. Uito finds himself in a disorienting situation, struggling with memory loss and a sense of disappearing. He experiences intense confusion, unable to recall who he is or what he was doing. This segment highlights the psychological toll of the conflict, portraying Uito's internal struggle as he fights to maintain his identity and memories amidst the chaos. The narrative becomes increasingly abstract as Uito grapples with complete amnesia. A mysterious figure appears, adding to the surreal atmosphere. This section emphasizes the theme of identity loss and the fragility of memory, creating a sense of urgency and desperation as Uito struggles to understand his situation. A cryptic interaction occurs where someone attempts to help Uito, emphasizing the importance of his survival. The scene remains ambiguous, with Uito still unable to comprehend what's happening. This moment suggests that there are larger forces or individuals working to protect or guide Uito, even in his state of confusion. Uito experiences a moment of clarity, remembering his friends and feeling a strong desire to return to them. This segment represents a turning point where Uito begins to regain his sense of self and purpose. The emotional connection to his friends serves as an anchor, pulling him back from the brink of complete memory loss. Uito recalls a comforting memory of his mother, marking a significant moment in his journey to reclaim his identity. This emotional connection to his past provides strength and reassurance, helping to solidify his sense of self. The scene underscores the importance of personal memories in shaping one's identity and providing emotional stability. Uito regains consciousness, surrounded by concerned friends. They explain the events that transpired, including Karen's disappearance and Uito's collapse. The group reveals their efforts to reconstruct Uito's memories using their shared experiences, highlighting the strong bonds between the characters and the lengths they went to save their friend. The process of reconstructing Uito's memories is further explained, emphasizing the risk and complexity involved. The group's success in restoring Uito's memories, including those from before they met, raises questions about the nature of memory and consciousness. This segment delves into the philosophical implications of identity and the role of shared experiences in shaping an individual. The group discusses the mysterious aspect of Uito's restored old memories, speculating about an external server's involvement. They decide to leave the dangerous area, prioritizing safety over further investigation. This scene sets up future plot points and mysteries to be explored, while also transitioning the characters out of immediate danger. The narrative shifts to a broader societal context, revealing widespread confusion and unrest following the release of sensitive information. The characters reflect on their actions and the consequences, acknowledging the need for change in New Himuka. This segment provides insight into the larger political and social ramifications of the events unfolding in the story. Major General Fubuki appears, bringing news of a threat from Togetsu and his efforts to protect Uito. The scene introduces new plot elements, including Fubuki's involvement with Ceyron forces and the ongoing dangers facing the protagonists. This development adds layers to the political landscape of the story and sets up future conflicts. The group relocates to a safe hideout, tending to the exhausted Fubuki. They begin to discuss their next moves, particularly regarding Togetsu's plans. This segment serves as a transitional moment, allowing the characters to regroup and strategize, while also highlighting the physical toll of their recent ordeals. The characters formulate a plan to stop Togetsu by shutting down their control computer, Babe. They also discuss diplomatic efforts to create a ceasefire between governments, aiming to restrict Togetsu's movements. This scene outlines the group's multifaceted approach to addressing the various threats they face, combining direct action with political maneuvering. As the group prepares to infiltrate Togetsu, Kaguro requests a private conversation with Uito. The scene creates tension and anticipation, hinting at important revelations to come. This moment sets up a potentially crucial interaction between Uito and Kaguro, suggesting that significant personal or plot-related information is about to be disclosed. Kaguro reveals to Uito that he, not Kasane, was responsible for killing Uito's father, Chairman Sumeragi. This shocking confession leads to an intense confrontation between Uito and Kaguro. The scene dramatically shifts the dynamic between these characters, introducing a deeply personal conflict amidst the larger battle against Togetsu. Uito and Kaguro engage in a physical fight, with Uito driven by anger over the revelation about his father's death. The confrontation reaches a climax, revealing Uito's unexpected strength. This intense scene showcases the emotional and physical consequences of Kaguro's confession, highlighting the complex relationships and hidden truths within the group. The fight between Uito and Kaguro takes an unexpected turn, as it's revealed that Uito initiated the confrontation to force Kaguro to tell the truth. The others join them, having overheard the confession. This twist demonstrates Uito's strategic thinking and emotional maturity, setting the stage for a deeper exploration of Kaguro's past actions and motivations. An assassin sent from Togetsu infiltrated Suo to assassinate Chairman Sumeragi, who was considered a threat. The assassin claims it was self-defense and expresses remorse, requesting to finish dealing with Togetsu before facing consequences. The assassin reveals having a family on the moon, a wife and daughter from 2,000 years ago. Their mission is to stop Togetsu from using the red strings to protect their daughter's existence, even though she has long since passed away. The assassin explains their role as an agent placed among colonists to sabotage Earth's redevelopment. 2,000 years ago, a comet passing near the moon left behind other particles that caused metamorphosis, turning people into monsters. The Moon faction's plan was to stop gravity control on Earth to prevent other particles from falling to the moon. When this failed, they implemented Plan B, pushing other particles towards Earth and creating the Extinction Belt, effectively trapping colonists on Earth. The assassin joined Togetsu to find a way to return to the moon, going in and out of cold sleep over time. Upon realizing Togetsu's changed plans to reset history, they chose to become a traitor. Despite resentment over the assassin killing their father, the protagonist agrees to work together to stop Togetsu. The group plans to infiltrate Togetsu using invisibility powers, considering it a sneak attack, as Togetsu likely doesn't expect an assault from such a small force. As the group approaches Togetsu, an earthquake occurs, similar to one at Kunad Highway. The Kunad Gate briefly displays strange numbers, and shaking is felt across New Himuka. The group speculates on the cause and decides to gather information while stopping Babe. Concerns arise about the protagonist's powers potentially decaying, but they choose to focus on the mission at hand. The team successfully infiltrates Togetsu using invisibility. The infiltration team encounters resistance upon entering Togetsu. They decide to use teleportation to reach Babe directly, despite the risks. Upon arrival, they face others and experience another earthquake, possibly indicating the expansion of the Kunad Gate. A vision created by Babe appears, taking the form of Uito's mother, Wakana, who was revealed to have fled from Togetsu and possessed the power of the red strings. The Babe-created vision of Wakana attempts to persuade Uito and Kasane to connect their minds and become one with Babe to save the world. It's revealed that human brains, including Wakana's, have been processed and incorporated into Babe. Uito and Kasane reject the vision's plea and vow to stop Babe. The floor collapses, forcing the group to flee from a massive other. After a harrowing escape, the group finds themselves in what appears to be the real Babe. They aim to access and shut down Babe from this location. However, they discover that Babe is implementing emergency procedures, possibly in response to their infiltration. The group senses something related to the red strings. To their shock, they find that all the data in Babe has been erased, leaving it completely empty. The group discusses the shutdown of Babe, Togetsu's supercomputer. While there's still some doubt, it appears Babe can no longer function, potentially stopping Togetsu's plan. The network connection is restored, allowing communication with Wataru. He informs them of increasing anomalies at the Kunad Gate, suggesting the situation is not fully resolved. The loss of research data on red strings is concerning, as it spans hundreds of years and contains crucial information about the Kunad Gate. A potential source of information is identified, Kasane's mother, who was involved with Togetsu and knowledgeable about red strings. Despite her being deceased, the group considers using the red strings to communicate with her directly. They acknowledge the risks, including potential brain damage to Uito, but decide it's necessary given the expanding threat of the Kunad Gate. They plan to recreate the conditions that previously opened the gate, aiming to jump to a specific time and place. The group decides to target October 4, 2009, at the old OSF hospital in Suo, the day Kasane's mother died. They determine that Kasane should jump alone to minimize risks and strain. Uito will stay behind as a marker for Kasane's return. The group prepares for the jump, with everyone supporting Kasane through SAS. As they begin, the Kunad Gate reacts and Kasane successfully makes the jump to the past. In the past, Kasane encounters her mother, Wakana, who reveals she received memories from the future through Babe. Wakana explains that Babe transferred data to past red strings users as a failsafe. She confirms that Uito's death is necessary to destroy the Kunad Gate, but mentions she has made preparations to prevent this. Wakana decides to return with Kasane to the future, first finding young Uito to give him a protective device disguised as an ear cuff. Kasane and Wakana find young Uito during an Other attack. They manage to give him the protective device before he's taken to safety. The scene shifts back to the present, where Uito realizes Kasane was the one who saved him in the past. The group returns to their hideout with Wakana, who needs rest due to the stress of time travel. They discuss the implications of Wakana possessing Babe's research data and the potential it holds for understanding the red strings and the Kunad gate. The conversation turns to the nature of others and their connection to the moon. It's revealed that a moon station on the edge of the Extinction Belt contains genetic information of many animals, suggesting the others are created there and sent to Earth. This information raises questions about the infinite nature of the other threat and the desperation of those on the moon trying to escape metamorphosis. The group grapples with the moral implications of these actions. Wakana wakes up and insists on returning to the Kunad gate immediately. She mentions the need to remove entanglements in the gate to prevent the world's destruction. As they prepare to leave, Wakana has a brief, emotional conversation with Uito about his father and brother. She then explains that to resolve the Kunad gate issue, Uito and Kasane must enter the gate and unravel the entanglements, which appear as tangled red threads. These entanglements are described as traces interfering with time, suggesting a complex temporal aspect to the Kunad gate problem that needs to be addressed. A dimensional hole called the Kunad gate has been created but persists in a distorted state due to Uito and Kasane's powers resonating. Using this distorted gate for time jumps creates entanglements. To close the gate, these entanglements must be unraveled. Inside the gate is a strange space called the Chronos terminal, perceivable only by those with the red string's power. It serves as a junction point for time travel. Time contact occurs when someone with the red string's power touches a particular time, leaving a trace. This is broader than time travel. To find entanglements, Uito and Kasane must enter the Chronos terminal and use their intuition. They are advised to be cautious and return if it becomes dangerous. Wakana, Kasane's mother, will be kept safe while they undertake this mission. Inside the Chronos terminal, Uito and Kasane encounter others, which are manifestations of their fears and anxieties. They realize these beings are created by their own consciousness and can be defeated. Uito thanks Kasane for saving him in the past, believing she shared her powers with him. They successfully unravel the first entanglement, but sense there are more to address. As they continue unraveling entanglements, Uito and Kasane discuss the implications of changing the past. They agree that altering history could have unforeseen consequences and affect countless lives. Both acknowledge how their perspectives have changed since meeting their friends and facing these challenges. They discover an unexpected entanglement related to Yakumo Sumeragi's crest. After unraveling what they believe to be all the entanglements, Uito and Kasane return, exhausted. However, they find that the Kunad gate hasn't disappeared. Wakana reveals that her presence is causing an entanglement and she must return to the past. She bids an emotional farewell to her children, encouraging them to treasure their friendships and live happily. Wakana's body is discovered, with her death attributed to cerebral overload from a personality rehabilitation device. It's explained that the Kunad gate wouldn't close while she remained in the present time. Despite unraveling known entanglements, an uneasy feeling persists. The group realizes that Karen, who has copied Kasane's power, may have created a new entanglement by traveling to Yakumo Sumeragi's time. A theory emerges that Karen may have assassinated the real Yakumo Sumeragi and taken his place, explaining Yakumo's sudden personality change and use of a mask. The group considers traveling back 2,000 years to investigate, but remembers that Yakumo is supposedly in cold sleep beneath Suo. They decide to search for him, believing that if Karen replaced Yakumo, he would be the one in cold sleep. The Sumeragi tomb is suggested as a possible location to begin their search. The group discusses investigating Sumeragi tomb to find Karen. They attempt to contact the chief, who is responsible for watching over the tomb, but are unable to reach him. Wataru suggests asking Major General Fubuki to intervene. The team decides to rest at their hideout while waiting for a response. The group returns to their hideout. Wataru reports that Major General Fubuki will try to contact the chief, but it may take some time. They also learn that Fubuki has no information about Major General Karen's whereabouts. With no other leads, they hope Karen is in Sumeragi tomb. The scene shifts to a conversation about future plans after the fighting ends. A character expresses their desire to change the world, making it a place where people don't have to rely on powers for everything. They reflect on the suffering and sacrifices they've witnessed in Suo, Ceyron, and Togetsu. Their goal is to prevent tragedies like what happened to Nagi from occurring again. The conversation then turns to the possibility of losing powers and becoming a dud. The characters discuss the potential loss of powers. One remains calm about the prospect, feeling that their most important connections will remain even without abilities. They express confidence in their ability to fight together, even without the SAS system. The conversation shifts to future plans, with one character considering leaving New Himuka. A character reveals their interest in exploring beyond New Himuka, possibly even to the moon. They express a desire to help people suffering in other worlds, acknowledging the vast scale of such an endeavor. The conversation touches on themes of protecting others, overcoming fear, and maintaining connections with loved ones, even after they're gone. The characters acknowledge that their paths may diverge in the future, but affirm their lasting friendship. They express excitement for the future, despite the challenges ahead, and playfully compete over who will achieve their goals first. The scene transitions as they receive word from Major General Fubuki to head to Sumeragi tomb immediately. The group arrives at Sumeragi tomb to meet with the chief. They discuss the chief's precarious political position and his possible motives for helping them. The chief grants them access to the tomb, disabling security for the entrance. The team enters the tomb, describing its unexpected brightness and lack of gloom. As the group descends into the tomb, they encounter a strange phenomenon. They suddenly find themselves in what appears to be OSF headquarters, but something seems off. They realize they might be trapped in a brain field, a measure possibly designed to confuse intruders. They prepare for potential combat against others. The scene shifts to a memory or vision of the past, showing Karen, Fubuki, and Alice as young OSF members. The memory provides insight into their personalities and dynamics, with Karen showing a rebellious streak against authority and Fubuki being more by the book. Alice is introduced as a new member of their platoon. The group discusses the vision they just witnessed, recognizing it as a memory from over 20 years ago. They speculate on the nature of the brain field and its connection to Karen's powers. The scene then shifts to a combat situation where the characters face a powerful other. Another memory unfolds, showing Karen, Fubuki, and Alice in a combat situation. The vision ends abruptly, leaving the group to ponder why they're being shown these memories. They theorize that Karen might have generated this field to prevent intruders, but question why he would reveal personal memories. A large brain field is detected, seemingly too big for a single psionic to generate. The group encounters and defeats a powerful enemy, but another one quickly appears. They speculate that being inside a brain field for an extended period can manifest emotions and memories. The field appears to be created by Karen, and a memory of him protecting Alice is affecting things. They realize staying longer could be dangerous and decide to hurry ahead. Karen's thoughts are heard, revealing his frustration at failing to save Alice again. He mentions using the red strings to start over as many times as needed, implying he's been time traveling in attempts to save Alice. The group realizes Karen is repeatedly jumping through time, trying to change history until he succeeds in saving her. However, they note that Alice is still dead in the current timeline, indicating his latest attempt has failed. They decide they need to get Karen to cooperate, as he's their only lead. The group regains communication after losing connection. They discover Karen, also known as Yakumo, has awakened from cold sleep and is nearby. Suddenly, they encounter two versions of Karen. One Karen attempts to absorb information from the other, who explains he failed to travel 2,000 years into the past. The group learns that Karen's time travel created an entanglement, preventing the Kunad gate from closing. They ask for his help, but Karen refuses, determined to obtain the red strings and try time traveling again. It's revealed that Karen learned about the red strings from Ara Habaki, a biocomputer comprised of brains. Karen, while in cold sleep, was connected to Ara Habaki for 2,000 years, gathering information and generating brain fields to conceal his location. Despite the group's pleas to help close the Kunad gate and create a new future, Karen insists on changing the past to save Alice. He refuses to accept the current timeline and prepares to fight the group to obtain their powers. An intense battle ensues between Karen and the group. Karen manifests powerful abilities, likely due to his memories and feelings materializing in the real world. The group's SAS and brain talk abilities are temporarily disabled. Despite being outnumbered, Karen fights fiercely, driven by his desire to save Alice. The group, drawing strength from their bonds and teamwork, manages to hold their ground against Karen's onslaught. The battle continues with both sides showing resilience. Karen refuses to give up, seeing this as his last chance to change the past. The group tries to reason with him, urging him to stop torturing himself and accept the world without Alice. Fubuki, in particular, pleads with Karen to put down his burden, arguing that Alice wouldn't want him to suffer like this. Despite their words, Karen remains adamant about his goal. After a grueling battle, Karen finally relents. He agrees to help close the Kunad gate, but proposes using it to also consume the Extinction Belt. The group realizes this could solve two problems at once. They discuss using Ara Habaki to amplify their powers, specifically Uito and Kasane's gravikinesis, to move the Extinction Belt. Despite the risks, they decide to attempt this plan, seeing it as their best chance to eradicate the threat that turned Alice into another. The group prepares to execute their plan. They connect to Ara Habaki through the SAS, with Karen copying their powers. The immense power of Ara Habaki proves challenging to control, but they manage to focus on moving the Extinction Belt. Their efforts succeed, and they watch as the Extinction Belt is drawn into the Kunad gate. However, in a sudden turn of events, Karen attempts to use the red strings for one last time jump, intent on finding a timeline where Alice lives. In a final act of sacrifice, Karen uses the red strings to travel back in time, eliminating the last entanglement. Before disappearing, he entrusts Alice's care to the group. The Kunad gate closes, and the red strings manifest visibly before vanishing. The group realizes they've not only closed the Kunad gate, but also eliminated the Extinction Belt. They reflect on whether they've changed the world for the better, acknowledging that all of them, including Karen, contributed to creating this new future. The story continues, with the group observing a beautiful, clear sky, a sight they're not accustomed to due to the previous presence of the Extinction Belt. They confirm that they've saved the world, preventing a future apocalypse and eliminating the Extinction Belt. The group expresses gratitude for Karen's sacrifice and acknowledges that they all played a part in shaping this new future. As they admire the transformed world, reports come in confirming the disappearance of the Extinction Belt across all areas. The Kunad gate suddenly disappeared, leaving confusion in its wake. Plans were made to contact the new Himuka government and file a detailed report on the incident. Alice and Hanabi were unexpectedly present, causing surprise. There was uncertainty about Karen's whereabouts and status. The group discussed visiting Kunad Highway the next day, as it was now ready for use. They invited each other to join, creating a sense of camaraderie and normalcy despite the strange occurrences. the scene shifted to a gathering under beautiful cherry blossoms. Despite the changes in history, the deaths of Seto and Nagi remained unaltered, forcing the characters to confront the harsh reality of their losses. The group engaged in casual conversation while waiting for Major General Fubuki to arrive. They reflected on their experiences and the bonds they had formed, comparing their team to a family. The atmosphere was bittersweet, balancing grief with the appreciation of present moments and relationships. The conversation turned to future plans and personal growth. They discussed visiting a gyoza restaurant and trying new menu items, showing a desire to maintain their friendships and enjoy life's simple pleasures. The dialogue then shifted to more serious topics, including the examination of acquired powers and the possibility of losing them. Despite the uncertainty, there was a determination to stay positive and make the most of their current situations, demonstrating resilience in the face of change. The discussion delved into the complexities of the new timeline, where Alice was alive, but Karen no longer existed. This change in history caused confusion and emotional turmoil, particularly for those closely connected to Karen. Despite the difficulties, there was a resolve to accept and adapt to the new world. Plans for retirement from the OSF were mentioned, indicating a shift in priorities and a desire to contribute to society in different ways. The conversation highlighted the characters' determination to create a better future, even in the face of personal challenges and loss. The dialogue explored the ramifications of the altered timeline, with only a few individuals aware of the changes in history. Speculation about the mechanics of time travel and its effects on their reality ensued. The conversation then shifted to more personal matters, including career changes and family relationships. The complexities of sibling dynamics were discussed, touching on themes of responsibility, concern, and the inability to completely sever familial ties. This segment emphasized the personal struggles each character faced in adapting to their new reality while maintaining their relationships and responsibilities. The narrative continued with discussions about the altered timeline and its similarities to the previous one, despite different key players being involved. Personal challenges, such as dealing with media attention and public opinion, were addressed. The characters contemplated their futures, including potential retirement and career changes. They also reminisced about shared experiences, like watching thunderclouds, and expressed a desire to recreate those moments in their new reality. This section highlighted the characters' efforts to find normalcy and maintain connections amid significant changes in their world. The conversation turned to more serious matters, including the unaltered fate of Chairman Sumeragi and the ongoing issues with Togetsu. Plans for retirement and atonement for past actions were discussed, demonstrating a commitment to addressing past wrongs and seeking personal growth. The characters expressed a desire to bring the truth to light, both the positive and negative aspects of their history. This segment emphasized themes of responsibility, truth-seeking, and the complexities of legacy and public perception. Characters discussed their impending retirements and aspirations for the future. There was a sense of passing the torch, with expressions of confidence in those continuing in their roles. Unspoken feelings and promises for the future were hinted at, creating an air of anticipation and hope. The conversation then shifted to the importance of preserving their shared history, with plans to document their experiences in a fictional novel. The speaker acknowledges their impending arrest due to their involvement with Chairman Suo. They express a desire to retire from the OSF if they lose their powers. Despite past wrongdoings, the speaker is still considered part of the group. They discuss potential prison visits and the possibility of a lighter sentence due to their helpful actions. The conversation touches on future plans, including cleaning up the Togetsu mess and potentially living an honest life. The speaker contemplates their future after being discharged from the OSF. They consider helping with the Lunar Surface Survey project, but decide to stay on Earth to address Togetsu-related issues. The conversation shifts to politics, with the speaker reluctantly agreeing to teach about it due to their past experience as a commander. Another individual expresses interest in applying for the Lunar Surface Survey project to better understand Togetsu's motivations. They joke about missing Watcher, but affirm their continued connection to others, even without powers or SAS. The scene shifts to a discussion about the improved environment, with blue skies and warmer sun. The Extinction Belt's disappearance is noted. The conversation turns to plant care at the hideout, with one person expressing gratitude for the other's help in maintaining the plants. They reflect on their decision to stay in the platoon and the courage they've gained from their friendship. The impending separation due to leaving the OSF is acknowledged, but they affirm their continued friendship and mutual support. The group awaits Major General Fubuki's arrival. Upon his appearance, they discuss recent events and the continued presence of others despite the Extinction Belt's disappearance. Changes in the other reporting system are mentioned. The group then proceeds with a ceremony to honor someone named Ceyron, who appears to have erased his own existence to change the world. They reflect on remembering him and his impact on their lives. The conversation shifts to future plans. One individual expresses a desire to change the world, to create a place for duds, and to address their family's actions. They also discuss the potential threat of other particles returning from space and the need for further study to prevent or cure metamorphosis. The possibility of entering politics is considered, despite reservations about suitability for such a role. Another person mentions plans to attend college and study politics to change New Himuka. The final part of the conversation reveals that one person has decided to go to the moon. Despite the physical distance this will create, they express the idea that connection is possible, regardless of location. The speaker affirms their commitment to continue living, emphasizing the importance of perseverance and maintaining connections with others, even in the face of significant life changes and challenges.